We've been hearing quite a bit about HDB prices recently again, thanks to this $2 million flat listing and repeated news about record prices being transacted one after another. Many of us have been asking, are HDB flats getting too expensive? Should this upward trend continue? Well, up until now, HDB has adopted a willing buyer, willing seller approach. That is, buyers and sellers are free to transact at prices they mutually agree on. But indeed, we should ask, is this the right approach for the future? Or is it time for the authorities to actually intervene and control or prevent prices from continuing upwards? First of all, let's agree on some likely facts. Number 1, HDB flats are primarily built to provide affordable housing for the masses. Number 2, the vast majority of Singaporeans still need to start off by owning and living in an HDB flat. Number 3, HDB flats are leasehold. Without any major policy shift, their values will be zero at the end of the 99-year lease in principle. We or our descendants will eventually get nothing out of them. Number 4, HDB prices have risen much faster than real incomes have, especially over the last 5 years. Based on these facts alone, it's simple to see that it will be extremely problematic for the nation and for all of us Singaporeans if HDB flat prices continue rising indefinitely. So have the authorities actually done anything to address this? Well, some measures do exist. Firstly, there's cash over valuation, or COV for short. If you're willing to pay more than HDB's estimated value of the flat, you have to pay that difference in cash. Your loan will not cover it. Secondly, and more recently, there's the infamous 15-month wait which those selling a private property will have to endure before being eligible to buy a resale flat. The former seeks to act as a deterrent to buyers from overpaying for a flat, while the latter blocks cash-rich downgraders from immediately entering the resale market. However, aside from this, a joint response by M&D, CEA and HDB to the latest $2 million HDB flat listing suggests that they don't see a need to act any further at this point. They simply said, the $2 million is an unrealistic asking price. In other words, don't worry about it. 7 in 10 5-room or smaller resale flats changed hands below 600k before grants. $1 million flats are still a minority anyway. What they don't seem to address is the very real possibility that whenever a new record high price like this is set out or floated out, both buyer and seller sentiment is fanned. If I'm selling my flat and I see others able to attain higher and higher prices, I'm going to ask for a higher price as well, isn't it? It's just natural. And that's exactly what we've seen over the past few years, and it seems to be continuing. So what can or should the authorities consider doing? Well, here's where I move from being a complaining Singaporean uncle to actually talking about potential solutions, and I have 2 ideas. Firstly, charge a progressive tax or levy on both buyers and sellers based on the COV paid. The higher the COV, the higher the levy. So supposing the HDB valuation of a flat you're purchasing is 850,000, but you agree to pay 870,000, your COV will be 20,000, yes? Okay, so 20k, not that far over, maybe a small levy of say 2%, $400. So you're paying this $400 on top of the purchase price of the flat to the government. Well, but supposing the seller is a little bit more optimistic and asks for 950k and you agree, the COV will be 100k. A higher levy could then be applied, maybe 30%, which is 30,000. No one likes taxes or levies, even the cash-rich don't, which is precisely why this may be an active deterrent against overpaying for your HDB flat, and therefore helping to keep prices in check. In fact, it could also be an indirect way of clawing back excess gains by sellers of those priced $1 million HDB flats who have benefited from the so-called lottery effect. The second method, publish HDB valuations. Right now, both buyer and seller will only know HDB's valuation after the OTP is issued. This valuation is unknown to everyone else and it's up to people to guess. By publishing it in the same way recent transactions are published, buyers will know upfront whether the flat they're interested in is overpriced before they actually commit to it financially or even emotionally. This transparency could also work towards helping manage both buyers and sellers' expectations and will therefore limit the upside a bit more. So what do you think about these suggestions? First of all, do you think HDB prices should continue being allowed to rise indefinitely? Or is it time for the authorities to intervene to slow or prevent prices from continuing to rise? Let me know in the comments below. See you soon.